Welcome, welcome to the top 10 marketing trends. One of my favorite things to do is just to investigate, learn, research all the trends, all the things that are going on, what's working, what's not working, and share. And I figure, hey, why not share them with you? So if you don't know me, my name is Amy Keenan. I am the founder of the ISV Society, which is a new business basically that I launched a year ago this month. So celebrating my 1-year anniversary. Basically, I help ISVs collaborate and generate leads in an affordable way. And with that, I might talk a little bit about that at the end, but we are going to dive into the top 10 trends, and this is being recorded. I do have a couple of polls that I'll be launching throughout, but I do also want to make this educational as well as informational, as well as conversational. So please feel free to talk, ask questions, unmute yourself whenever you'd like, and interrupt me whenever you'd like. I am game for that. So let's get started on the top 10 trends. And I'm hoping everybody can see my screen. If not, let me know. Thanks, Jessica. Happy and thank you. All right. All right. So the 3 areas I want to focus on for the trends are emails, webinars, and content. So we'll talk a little bit about each of those. I'll be sharing some what's trending in each of these areas. I'll also be showing you a little bit of tutorial as well for some of these trends, and hopefully you'll get some education out of it too. So I found this an interesting statistics because, as we all know, everyone is sending out emails. And that is probably one of our #1 strategies, right? So did you know the average office worker receives 121 emails a day? That is crazy. And so we really need to figure out how we're going to stand out, what things work, how we're going to engage with our audience, and the best practices around email. So let's start with personalization. According to HubSpot, personalization can help to enhance email engagement by 20%. I mean, that is huge, just by including someone's name in the email. So I just wanted to give a quick example of one that I sent out recently. And as you can see here, I put in the person's name. I also use the fun emoji. And you want to, it just helps make it more personable, like you're talking to the person, like it's a conversation, and they just feel special. I think, you're including their name and just makes it stand out. It grabs their attention and it wants them to read the email. So you can also, I also like to put names in the subject line too, if it makes sense, but also including it in the email as well. So you can do it a couple of different ways, but it's so important to include personalization as you're talking to someone, because you are talking to someone. It is kind of, we want to make emails conversational and educational, and we want to also engage with them, and we want them to engage with us. And the best way, one of the best ways to do that is through personalization. So another email trend is including specific words in subject lines. So, and one of the people I love to follow, or companies I love to follow, a subject line. They provide tons of amazing tips for B2B, as at B2B and B2C. And I always like to pull out that information, and if it makes sense, share it with my audience. So some of the #1, or I should say top trending words that are kind of making it, making emails be open, having better open rates are these. So you want to include words such as truth, or tips, or invite, and of course, numbers and emojis. But including these trending words, I think really helps. Top tips. I see a lot of emails where someone shares top tips, and maybe it's 4 top tips, or the top, or if you're inviting someone, then invite them. Put the invite in the email. So these are just some of the top words that are trending now. And as you can see, the open rates, how it works for businesses, 28% for truth or true when you include that in the subject line. If you include tips, it's 21%. And I also like to share the tips that are higher for businesses versus consumers, because a lot of us are B2B. And when the numbers are higher for the B2B ones, that's ones I really focus on, or use, or utilize, or share with my audience, because obviously that makes sense for us, because we are sharing our content. We are emailing businesses versus consumers. So I thought that was an interesting some interesting words, and I include these words. Like I said, I'm starting to include these words in my emails and seeing how it goes. And it's just interesting, and not to dive too down this road, but it's just interesting when we start using these trends to just see and measure and analyze those emails. And maybe you do an A to B test where you include one with one of these words and one without, and see if it really is true, if is it really trending. It's just interesting to kind of do that analysis yourself as well, to see what's working and what's not. And it all depends on, right, our audience, what our messaging is, if it makes sense to include these words. But most of the time we are sharing some kind of topic, some kind of trend, some kind of truth or tips or invite. And so these are really important words we could include, because you probably could use them on every email, or mostly all the emails that we do send out. Next, we have, which I found, and I think a lot of us probably do this, but just want to reiterate that when you have an email going out, you obviously have some kind of call to action with a link to it, whether it's to view a video or sign up for register for a webinar, or download a white paper, or to link to a case study, or a link to a YouTube, whatever it is, you just want to make sure it's one offer, but many links. So wherever you can put that link, whether it's in the image, in the subject title of your email, kind of keep it at as many as you can. That makes sense at the top of the fold. And then of course, you want to have a click here button like you see here, include it in the image, include it in, if you're doing a webinar, include it in several places with the time. So you really want to try and give them ample opportunities to click on your offer or your link. And as you can see here, about with the statistics, it's 57% higher overall conversion rate when we do have that link in numerous spots in our email. And I'm sure many of you do that today. Okay, next up, we are going to talk about webinar trends, which a lot of people say webinars are dying, but as we know, they aren't. It's just the way we deliver webinars is what's really important now, and making them educational, informational, engaging. You want to show your screen. You want to have great slides, great eye-catching slides. You want to have great content. You want to send out ample emails and social posts, and it really isn't dying. And if you have great content to share, webinars are the way to go, as we know. So let's start with trend number 4. So days and times, which I think is very important. I know a lot of us probably do our webinars on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. As we know, those are the best days, but also time. So 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. seem to be the best times. And so I decided to do mine at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So these are Eastern time. And then 1 p.m. is a close third. And I used to do a lot of my webinars at 1 p.m. So I'm going to switch back and forth between those 2 times and see how it goes. But also Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are, obviously mine is on a Friday, because my audience is a little bit different, right? You guys are ISVs. You guys aren't necessarily putting on webinars because you're doing them Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So it makes sense for me, for my audience, to have it on Fridays, because I know you guys aren't having webinars for your audience, your customers, your partners on those days. So that's why I have mine on a Friday. And then the registration form, which I think is probably another one that a lot of us know about, but really having the least amount of fields for them to fill out. Obviously, we want to know who they are, right? So maybe we just do first name and email and company name, but maybe you need to, so for me and for a lot of us, we need to know what ERP they're on if we're ERP agnostic. And then we need to know if they're a partner or a customer, because we want to know who our audience is, right? I think a lot of the times though, when they're registering for a webinar, we can tell if they're a partner or customer. So maybe we don't need that link. But if we aren't ERP agnostic, then we don't need that either, because we know which ERP it will be. So really want to figure out what your key metrics are for whatever you're doing and what you want to include on this registration form, to make sure you're getting all the information that you need based on maybe what your company requires, or based on what who the audience is, And so really want to think about those questions and make sure you keep them to a minimum, because obviously the more fields you have, the lower amount of submission rates, which we don't want. And then the next one, which I also tried, I did that today, and actually my emails, my registrants did go up. So I don't know if any of you do this, but do you send an email to your audience the day of your webinar and invite them on that day, on the day? So if you send an email within 6 hours of the event, you're increasing your response rate 31% versus not doing it the day of. And again, if you're increasing your response rate, that's huge, and you want more people on your webinar. And I noticed I did when I sent mine out today versus I sent one out last week and I sent one out today, and my open rate also was higher as well. And my response rate went up too. So if you're not doing this now, maybe it's something you add into the mix where you're sending out an email the day of your event, webinar, whatever it may be, because obviously that increases it. And I see some chats, so yes. Oh, Jen does send one out the day of. Great. Jessica, in before, yes, times are in Eastern, Jamie. I know, and Jen, nice comment about truth. You know what? I would have thought that would sound spammy too. But, and you know what? Maybe it's just, you know, sometimes it's not. I guess depends on what your context is, what you're saying in that subject line to include that word. So, you know, if you're saying the 5 truths behind sales tax software, I'm going to use Jessica for instance. If you're really putting in some great content around what that is, I think that's when I can see the value in it, because people want to know what the true thing is. It just builds up, hey, I want to know what this is. You know, it gets them thinking about whatever it is you're in your subject line. So I agree with you. I thought it was spammy, but I could see where it can make sense, where it could provide value, where customers and prospects or partners would see why you would want, when they see that word in the email subject line, why they would open it based on that. So yeah, totally agree. I'm going to launch a poll. So hold on a sec. Sorry, I'm new to using Zoom webinar for everything. Trying to get better at it. So based on the emails that we talked about and the trends that I shared, I would like to know, and you kind of all mentioned this as well in your chat, but are you using emojis? Are you using numbers, personalization, those trending words, or all of the above? Feel free to pick which ones you utilize, because I would like to know. And I feel like a lot of people do use personalization, because I get a lot of emails with personalization in it, and it really does make you want to open it, which is really cool. It looks like personalization 100%, so that's awesome. And then some people are using the trending words, numbers, and emojis, so that's great. I love to use emojis. Again, you know, some people think because we're B2B, we can't use emojis because we have to be kind of serious, you know, or things like that. But I think, you know, if we think about it, we're talking to a human, right? There's a human on the other end of this email. And that's what we have to remember, because we want to make things fun and engaging, and they want to see things fun and engaging. And sometimes it just breaks up their day when they get some kind of fun email or eye-catching email or subject line. And again, it stands out because they're getting 121 emails a day. So it's all about standing out, being different, and knowing that you're talking to somebody, a human on the other end. And it's okay to have some fun in your emails. What happened to my slides? We're going way back here. All right, so next up is content. Another big one. I know that one of my favorite things to do is actually create content. I love writing content for emails, for blogs, for webinars, for social, whatever it is. And I love and that's why I do so much research on trends, because I want my content to be just really good content that people want to read and engage with. And so content is just so important because we use it in everything we do, right? And anything, everything. It's just one of those number one things. But one of the trending things around content, obviously, which I'm sure most of you know, is video. So viewers retain 95% of a message when they watch it versus read it. And so I wanted to share, and some of you might be on the BBC have or attended the CMA webinars recently. And one of them was on video because video marketing is so huge. It's never going to go away. We know that it's going to be an important part of everybody's marketing initiative. And there's just so many great tools out there, and you can even get the free version. So I did sign up for the free version of Video Ask and Loom just to try them out because those were some of the ones that people were using in our space. And I haven't really dove into them yet, and maybe I'll do another webinar on that. But basically, a video ask is you can put some cool video around things like when they sign up for a webinar and you want to do some kind of thank you email. And you can include information in there for them to engage with you and answer questions with polls. So you can get information back from them. So I feel like video ask would be a really great engaging way to get content from your audience when they sign up for a webinar. So say they're signing up for one and say, hey, you signed up for this webinar. What's the one thing you want to learn? They'll put their answer in and you'll get that feedback. So I really think that is a really cool tool to use. I'm excited to try it out. And then Loom is another one where you can record things, make some presentations, share, do like a tutorial. So more of like creating presentations in a nice way and then executing on them, sharing them, and so forth. So I'm excited to try both of these just to see which one I like. And maybe I'll like both. But again, there are free versions and paid versions, so you can certainly try them out. There's also, if you're looking into doing some more of those like cartoon type videos, there's one called Powtoon, where it's very, what I love about it is it's easy to use because you can have templates, and basically they provide templates on hundreds of different categories and topics, and then you can obviously brand them to what you need them to be. So that's another one to utilize. Not sure if anybody has tried any of these. Jessica, you see emojis as spammy. Okay. What kind is it? Does it matter the kind of emoji? Like say if it's, like a celebration thing and you use confetti, or the question mark emoji at the end when you're asking a question. Do you think those are spammy? Just curious to know. Any emoji. Okay. Good to know. And you know what? Emojis aren't for everybody. But I feel like you use what's obviously based on what you like, what your audience likes as well. So thank you, everyone. Love this. You like them on social. Yeah, social they're great for too. How about animated GIFs? Do you guys use animated GIFs in your emails? I started using those more. I'm a big, so a couple of last my webinar invites, which you guys got, I used the Schitt's Creek GIFs because I'm like so big on that on that show right now. So I thought it was cool to incorporate things that I like in my emails and just share, that side of me, like being more personal, getting them to know who you are. And it might be different for all of us because our companies, I'm doing it from me, whereas you're doing it from your company. So obviously yours is going to be a little bit different, but you can also make your own animated GIFs, and you can do that with Loom, I believe, and do some cool GIFs as well. So I can mention that. And when I was with Rockton, you can include animated GIFs in blogs, which is really cool. And then you can, of course, include them in emails. So from that perspective, they had like 5 new features of a product. Okay, thank you for sharing. I'll have to check that out. So they had 5 different new features for a certain product. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we created animated GIFs for each of those and then put them in the blog, create social posts for each of those GIFs. So you're actually showing people the feature really quick and easy, as well as telling them about it. So that was really huge. So you can certainly use GIFs for anything and get creative with it. And that's another thing I love about marketing is we can really get creative and we can think outside the box and do things and try different things. Office is a good one too. Yeah. So yeah, so that's why I like being creative. And people think about video as it doesn't only have to be demo videos and tutorials, but we can make fun cartoon videos and animated GIFs. So just thinking about and engaging emails with video in it, asking people questions and getting their feedback. And that's what Video Ask is really good at. So I highly recommend you check that one out. Okay, next up is LinkedIn. So recently I had done a podcast with a woman called Judy Fox. And funny story is that I was on a plane. I like to listen to podcasts. And I was on a plane coming back from Directions. And so I was listening to this social media marketing podcast, and it was all about LinkedIn. And this woman, Judy Fox, was the guest, and she was talking about all these amazing tools and how you can utilize LinkedIn. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not know any of this. And all of us, I'm sure we use LinkedIn every day. And I just didn't realize some of the cool tools and things that you could do. So after I listened to that podcast and I got home, I emailed her. I followed her on LinkedIn and then messaged her on LinkedIn and said, hey, I listened to this podcast episode that you were on and a guest on, and I would love for you to be a guest on my podcast. And sure enough, she said yes, which was pretty exciting. So I was able to have her as a guest. And she shared some amazing tools and amazing things that you can do on LinkedIn that I wasn't aware of. So the next 3 or the last 3 of the top 10 are all about LinkedIn. And I'm actually going to go in LinkedIn and show them to you because I feel like it's a little easier than explaining. And I just recently started doing these types of initiatives. And I know a lot of us have to think of this from a company perspective. So some of these things are company and some of these things you can only, like newsletters right now, you can only do from a personal page versus a company page. That may change. But what's really cool about newsletters, and I think I'm on my 4th one now. So let me just show you, which LinkedIn is it? Oh my goodness. This one. This one. Okay. So what's cool about LinkedIn is that you can publish newsletters and you can pick the cadence. You can do weekly, monthly. I think those are the 2 options. And what's cool about it is people follow you and you get subscribers, and they get, when you publish a newsletter, whether it's weekly or monthly, all of those people, all of your followers get an email saying that you just posted a newsletter. And then it will show up in their feed too, without you having to do anything but publish it. So LinkedIn does all of the promoting for you, which I thought was amazing. And I honestly didn't know that. So I'm like, heck, I got to start doing newsletters on LinkedIn, because if LinkedIn is going to promote it for me, why not? So that was one thing I did not know and thought it was really cool. So yeah, so if you aren't doing newsletters, I highly recommend you try it. But that's one feature I didn't know. So yeah, they get an email. So if you are subscribed to my newsletter, then you'll notice when I publish it, you'll get an email with it. And then also, you know how you get notifications on your phone or whatever, you'll see that notification, oh, this person just published a newsletter. So again, LinkedIn promotes it for you, which is so cool. And another cool thing about these, and you can do these with articles or newsletters, is you can embed links. So I can, it has to be, so if you have a podcast, obviously you can embed your Spotify link in here, and they don't leave to listen to the podcast. They will stay right in the newsletter to listen to it. And then with articles, you can embed certain links. I think YouTube and Spotify, and there might be other one where again, they'll see it and they won't leave, and they'll just see it in LinkedIn. So I thought that was a cool feature. Yeah, newsletters are not business pages, Jessica. Actually, newsletters are just PR personal pages right now. LinkedIn might change it to company pages eventually, but unfortunately, and I know a lot of us probably, I don't know, maybe you want to do it from your personal page, but right now, yeah, right now it's personal. So those are the two things you can do within LinkedIn, your personal page. And from a company perspective, you can actually now put in on your company page call to actions, which if you didn't know, and you can actually get leads from LinkedIn, which is pretty cool. And this is a recent new thing. I think it launched maybe a month or so ago, I want to say. So let me find my page. Okay. So here is my company page. So now I didn't have a company page because I had so many followers on LinkedIn that I'm like, I didn't really want to have a company page and have to build up something else. But unfortunately, there's just some great features that are on a company page versus a personal page. So I finally just bit the bullet last month and started a company page. But one of the really cool things that you can do on your company page is do an actual call to action. So when you click on your edit page, there's this buttons, and you can do a custom button with a custom URL. And then, so if you have a webinar you want to drive them to, a white paper, a case study, anything, you can actually add it here. So you can click on the type of thing you want to do. I would highly stay away from visit website because you're not going to get anything from there. But sign up, register, learn more, contact us. Those are the ones that I would think make more sense for you guys. You can actually do a lead gen form. And so this is the form. You want to have your call to action. You have a privacy policy. You put your headline in. So people you can actually get leads from if they visit your company page on LinkedIn. So in case you didn't know that. And then you can actually download the leads as well. So if you go to leads under analytics, it'll tell you how many leads you have and you can download them, and they keep them up to 90 days. So you have 90 days to download whatever leads there are. So not sure if you knew that or not, but I know I didn't know that. So I'm like, hey, my last few trends were going to be about LinkedIn, because I feel like out of all the social platforms for us in our space, LinkedIn is probably a top one besides Twitter, where we find our audience. And why not utilize all those free tools? Because again, they're free and they're everyone has a LinkedIn account. So let's go back to my slides. Let me actually run my poll first. So yeah, I'm glad it's good. I'm glad you guys didn't know about this. I'm excited. All right. So that was my next poll, is if you knew about these tools. So feel free to let me know. Awesome. So yeah, and one of my goals again is just really utilizing LinkedIn as best I can with everything that it has to offer. So that's another thing I've been researching a ton on, is just how to make engaging, like everything that you do on LinkedIn should be engaging, should have some kind of call to action. See how I have click sign up to get your free ISV guide to grow your audience. So I'm telling people what to do. And so you really want to make sure you do that in your emails. In your LinkedIn messaging. Give clear call to actions, clear initiatives, and you'll get more. Hopefully you'll get some people to sign up or register or whatever it may be for your call to action that you're going to be utilizing. All right, now let me go back to my slides. I really hate that this thing is at the top, because then I can't click on anything, which is kind of annoying. So I apologize for that. Maybe if I X out of this, here we go. All right. And the best part about it is they're free. So why not utilize them, is what I say. Okay, the last thing I just wanted to mention is I did put together this ISB guide to grow your audience, and I'll email it to you with the recording. Basically, it's a guide just outlining everything that you can do within any space, whatever ERP it is. There's just so many things that you can do, from blog sites to product listings to B2B services. And many of us might not know all of the things that are out there to offer that you can utilize. So I'm going to email this to you as well after the webinar. And if there's something that I may have missed, because I know some of you have been in this space for a while too, if there's something I missed, feel free to let me know. I'd be happy to add it and update it as well. And with that, if you're not adding value, you're taking up space. I really loved this quote. I think it's very powerful. And I think as marketers, we really want to make sure we're providing value to everybody in whatever initiative that we're doing, because that's what builds trust. That's what builds our audience up. That's what gets them to take action on whatever we're doing. So yeah, so that's very powerful. Thank you. Yes, me too. I fell off, I wasn't utilizing LinkedIn as best as I thought, like you, Jen. So yeah. So I love to chat. And as we know, it's 2:33 and I promised only 30 minutes. So thank you again so much for joining me this week. I really hope that these trends helped you. You got a lot of information and education and learned a lot. And I'd love to hear your feedback as well. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or my email. And we can, if you want to learn more about the ISV Society, certainly reach out to me as well. But thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I'll send you an email with the recording and the guide, and feel free to follow up with me, even if you want to just chat about marketing, which I love to do as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great Friday and a great weekend. Thanks, everyone.